welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I'm talking with Bill Mandara. Bill, thanks, man. Thanks for being here and spending some time with me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you are welcome. It's going to be a really fun conversation, Bill. Well, he's co-owner and founder of Mancini Duffy. Tell me if I get this right. I call you guys like an elite architectural firm, and they're building massive, beautiful buildings all over the world. But we're not going to really talk about architecture much. What I want to talk about and pick your brain about is leadership. How do you build something? How do you grow something? How do you get a team around you to do this, to make the impact that you guys are making in cities all around the world? I want to unpack that. So as we just dive into that deep end of the pool, Bill, tell me how in the world you get doing what you're doing today?
So for me, it was an interesting journey. I came from a long line of people in the construction business. My dad was a contractor, as was my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
My great grandfather, when he came to this country, he was a laborer. So it was fairly, predetermined a little bit that I was going to have something to do with this one way or another. Both my dad and my grandfather really did encourage me to. They wanted me to go to school and go to college. They wanted me to be on a different end of the spectrum as them if I wanted to be in this business. A gentle if, it's kind of like probably could. So it was, since I was a kid, since I was a little kid, following my dad around to job sites, same thing with my grandfather, um, all the way through. I mean, I've worked for my father every summer break from probably middle school all the way throughout until I graduated college and took a little while to find a job. So
Yeah.
that's how I got into this particular business. How I got here it's interesting. I worked for a small firm for quite a while, the first like 11, 12 years of my career. Then I took a leap of faith, joined a firm to open a satellite office for them in New Jersey. The firm was based in New York City. 2009 kind of got the best of that firm, and they limped along for a bit and were eventually acquired by Mancini Duffy. And it was interesting. There was a lot of bloodletting there, and a lot of people didn't quite make it, but somehow I kind of did. And when Ralph Mancini, who was the firm's founder, well, he was ostensibly Mancini Duffy's founder. He came in. He wanted to really ensure that the firm had an ownership transition to keep his legacy going. He brought in my partner Christian Giordano, who I didn't know at the time, and I didn't know that's what why he was being brought here. But when he did, we quickly discovered that we had a lot in common. Outwardly, we appear very different, but we had a lot in common about what kind of a firm we wanted to grow this into, as far as styles of what kind of firm we wanted to have, what kind of place we wanted to have for people to work, and environment. And we quickly realized that we'd be a good match for each other, and we went into this together along with another person. And over the course of about 3 or 4 years, we wound up purchasing the firm from them in 2017, and here we are. A few clicks later, and things are going pretty well, thankfully.
That's awesome. So, okay, I want to dive in there. We may pivot where this whole thing's going. So, Mr. Mancini came and he says, I want to ensure the legacy, the ownership transition to preserve the legacy. I love that. Okay. I think a lot of business owners don't even think about that. He obviously did. And today, he's not in the business because you bought it from him, but you retain his name. Was that part of the agreement, or did you do that to honor him? How does that play out? That's fascinating to me.
Sure. Well, sadly, Ralph isn't. He's no longer with us. But he had initially transferred the ownership of the firm in the mid 2000s to a different group of folks.
Okay.
And he had, and he took a leave he was kind of semi-retired to take care of his family. And he saw that the ownership group that he had, while they're doing a great job, and they were a point was going to get, they were going to get to a point where something else needed to happen. So he wanted to make sure that was going to happen. He wanted to make sure that there was people in place to transfer from them, because it's a hard thing to acknowledge that at some point you might not be the person to move things forward. And and listen, the former owners, they were fantastic. They were great. They allowed us to do a lot of things that a lot of people typically wouldn't allow you to do before we did buy the firm for them. They put us in leadership roles, and really kind of sat back and said, okay, guys, if this is what you want to do, we trust you. So it was, Ralph had the foresight to initially do that ownership transition and then come back and say, hey, you know what? Like, I like this is where this is going. These people have done a spectacular job. And I want to make sure there's somebody else behind them to really continue this well off into the future. So it was great thinking by Ralph.
How amazing. And dare I say, I hope you're having the same thought process because there
Uh,
will come a day.
Listen, I don't want to be doing this forever. My wife will kill me.
I think that's great. You said something early on when you and your other two partners came together at the beginning. You kind of set a vision of the kind of company you wanted to be, if I can put it in those words. Talk a little bit about that from entrepreneurs, CEOs, the importance of that meeting and that decision to say, here's the DNA in a sense of what we're going to be creating. Talk about that process and how important that's been to take you where you are today.
Yeah, and I think it all boils down to me personally. Early on in my career, I worked for, like I mentioned, I worked for a smaller firm, and they were, more family-owned firm, and it wasn't, it was all kind of in service of the owners of the firm.
Mm,
We look at things, and a lot of firms, and this is perfectly fine. They exist so that the owners of the firm can have nice things and everything, and that's their prerogative. We wanted to do something a little different. Architecture is not always the best environment in which to be. It's historically architecture. I would not let either of my sons go to architectural school just because I think it's soul crushing.
wow.
I think it's gotten better, but it's tough. And a lot of firms, when you go there, there's the old idea of that you're getting yelled at. It can be a bit oppressive, and it doesn't really foster as much creativity as it should. So I wanted to make sure we had an environment, and Christian agreed with me, that we had an environment where people were free to do their best work. People were able to, if they have an idea, speak up, know that they'll get credit for their ideas, because that's something else that happens a lot in architecture. Is people bosses love to take credit for everybody else's work. I've seen it far too many times firsthand. So I want to make sure that people knew that if they had an idea, they would we'd give them the resources to follow through on it, and make sure that they get credit. I think it was I think Ronald Reagan famously had a saying on his desk in the White House that said, "There's no limit to what you can achieve if you don't worry about who gets the credit." I'm paraphrasing, but there was something
Wow,
like
that's it.
that.
Well, that's a good
I think
phrase.
I think it's amazing, and it's true. It's kind of odd in our industry because it is the thing where everybody's kind of jockeying for position to make sure they're the ones whose name is on something.
Yeah, that's great because that what you're dealing with there is culture.
Yep.
And I don't hear a lot of people really talking about culture, especially CEOs who not only have built something but are in it right now like you are. It's a culture that has gotten you here and that will take you to the future. And what I tell business owners all the time, yeah, money's important. Culture trumps most of the time. As long as you're paying people enough that they're, not just getting by, they will work forever for an attaboy, for a culture, because it sounds like those other firms, those architectural firms, don't have great cultures, and it diminishes the value of the person, and it causes them to want to go somewhere else. I presume you've got a great retention rate and everything, and that helps you get more jobs, right?
Oh,
Because
absolutely,
people,
absolutely. And listen, I mean, there's other firms that have great cultures and prioritize different things and are great as well. Not to say that we're the
right?
only ones in that, but when people are happy and they feel like they have buy-in from everybody and they treat it as if it's their firm, it's a
Yeah,
better experience for everybody. It's a better experience for the clients too, because at the end of the day, a lot of clients we have don't do this every day. You might have somebody who's in a situation where there's an office, right? They're moving their office somewhere. They do it maybe once every 10 years, and this is stressful for them. Um, it's not their day job, quote
right.
unquote. If they can do it with people that are happy and are fun to hang around with and do a great job, it's a much better experience. I think that, again, there's also in any creative field there can be, dare I say, a bit of pretense,
Oh
and
yeah,
we don't do that. One of our core values is to be yourself. Everybody's unique, and it doesn't, you can't you can't force somebody to be who they're not. And I think that comes through very well when you're dealing with people. And for the most part, people enjoy being with people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously you exhibit the core value very well, because I was just sitting here going, what? No, what? Time out. You're the CEO of this massive worldwide corporation who's doing stuff everywhere, and you just kind of show up. And I feel like if I came to your office and we had coffee or something, I would be talking to the same guy.
Oh, absolutely.
I I preach this to my audience all the time, Bill, because they get in front of a camera, a video, and they try to be somebody they think their audience wants to be. And I'm like, no, your audience wants you. They don't, dare I say, they don't care what you do. I trust that you're a great firm and a great architect and all that. I want to know, do I like you? Can I have a conversation with you? Are you a real person? And I love that core value of be yourself. That is so good. Talk about that. How do you flesh that out? I mean, when you hire new people, do you have like, here are 3 or 4 core values? This is how we live them out. What's that kind of look like on the internal perspective?
Yeah, we do. You know, when we hire, listen, I don't do as many interviews as I used to.
Yeah.
I still do from time to time, and I enjoy it. But you know, when I would interview people, I would assume that they're going to do great work. And you know, they've gone to school and they have all the right qualifications. And I would generally, to your point, say, who is this person? Is this a person that, you know, it doesn't, and by the way, they don't have to be just like, they don't have to like the same things I like or believe the
Right.
same things I believe, but you know, are they a real person? Are they good? And it's not an infallible process, but I would say, you know, 80% of the time it works all the time.
Yeah.
And then we, you know, and now that we've grown, we have obviously I stole that from somewhere. I don't remember the April Guitar or something, but you know, we have a group of people here who run our talent, and they similarly do that. They look through, and we do ask, you know, to it's not necessarily a litmus
Right.
test, but it's important if you're gonna, you know, and I want to stress, it's not if you're gonna fit in, right? Because
Right.
that makes us feel like we're in middle school with
Yeah. Our
our
clicks
tray
and
not being
everything.
able to
Yeah.
find the right table, but that's not that. But it's again, it's and there's a place for a lot of people who can be a little you know, full of themselves, and they have great careers, and God bless them. But it's just generally not who we try to be, and the
Right.
best, and we do have some really amazing people here, which is what's
Yeah.
allowed us to grow.
Well, I love that. And the principle there that I just gleaned out of all of it is hire the person, trust that they will do a great job.
Yes.
And that is so important, because I think so many people get hung up on, give me your resume. And what's your resume look like? It's like, you know
Oh
what? Let's go out to dinner and let's see how you treat the waitress.
yeah.
That's,
That's a big one for me for sure.
you
That's a
know,
big one. You know, like are you because you know, are you the person that do you put your cart back at the supermarket, or do you leave it by the next car? Right? It's
yes,
things like that.
yes.
There's a lot about a person. And I've hired, listen, there's a lot of folks that we've hired, where just to your point, I've met for lunch or coffee or something like that. And it is important how you treat people, because I think, you know, we had it a few months ago. We had an event over here, and you know, there's something going on in the bathroom. So me and my partner were literally in there cleaning the toilet. It's like whatever. Everybody's got to do what they got to do, and
That's
it all.
right. Yeah. If there's a job to done, I'm gonna do. I've raised 2 boys. I'm raising 2 girls, right? And my sons, I always told them, we're Delons. We see and seize opportunities to serve. And
Hmm.
so we would walk through the hallways of church, right? And I'd glance down, I'd see paper on the floor. And I would stop my boys. Stop and pick up the garbage and throw it away. I said, guys, if we don't do it, who's going to?
Right.
We have an opportunity to serve. That's what we do. Service is in our DNA. I drilled that into them for the same point, to go, whose job is it? It's my job. I
Yeah.
don't care what. It's my
I
job.
have two sons as well, and I tell them the same thing. Like, you know, somebody's got to do it. Why not you?
Exactly. Yeah. Man, there's so much here. We could talk for a long time, Bill, because you got obviously great experience. You've built a fabulous company that is doing amazing things. I want people to go to your website, so I want you to tell them that, because I went to the website and I was just like, wow, just the stunning beauty of what you all design is. You should have that around, obviously on your walls and things, but um, it's intriguing to go to a website that actually draws you in and is not selling something. It's like, it makes me want to go to one of your spots and just sit there.
Wow.
So,
Well, thank you. I mean, we have a lot of talented people that do all the work, and we have a lot of other talented people that work on the website. So thank you. That's
well, you're welcome. Tell people, obviously, I mean, you've got so much more knowledge in your brain that we don't have time to extract today. Tell us, how do people just hang out with you online? Where do they find you? Things of that nature.
Sure. I mean, the best place to go is our website, manciniduffy.com. You can look me up on LinkedIn. That's where I behave like an adult. I'm not going to mention my other social media ones because I don't behave like I'm
I
52 years old
love it.
all the time.
I love it. You'd probably you no, you won't. You won't be amazed how many other people say very similar things because we all have things. But um, if you're looking for a conversation with a real guy and follow somebody who's done it, who's doing it, it being running a very, very good company, making a difference in people's lives inside of the walls and outside of the walls of where he works. And just a guy, I mean, I just met him, but I can just tell you, Bill's full of character and integrity, just the way he shows up. And we need more of that, Bill. So thank you. But
Wow. Thank you.
I'm going to grab and make sure I've got in the show notes ManciniDuffy.com and your LinkedIn profile so people can connect with you because we need more Bills in our life. And the big takeaway from today is what I tell people a lot is be yourself. And Bill, thank you for showing up today as yourself and making this just a really fun conversation.
Those are very kind words. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for listening today. Thanks for listening to Experts Speak. Tune in again next week for another fantastic interview. Take care. God bless.